Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. Thank you everyone that submitted questions on my Game of Thrones video this weekend. I know that there's a lot of questions about stuff happening behind the scenes. We're starting to learn some stuff from the production, so I tried to address a few of those questions in the most non-spoilery way possible. That being said, just careful for spoilers on everything that's happened on the show so far. So here we go. First up, Samwise asks, do you think the wall will come down next season like they're speculating with a Break the Internet event? Yeah, so someone behind the production, I can't remember who said it, is speculating, like one of the actors is saying there's going to be a break the internet moment. They say that every year, and no, I think it's a little too soon for the wall to be coming down. I do think that they'll be doing some crazy book moments from the northern plot line. Bringing the wall down isn't one of those things. It depends on how fast they want to move the plot line along. Ideally, what I'd like to see is that the War for the Dawn, like the big final battle, goes down in season 8. Because that's what they're billing as the final season. So naturally, you'd expect the biggest battles to happen then. And in order for that to happen, the White Walkers have to move south of the wall. So if the wall's going to come down, I think it would be like at the end of season 7. It would be like their season 7, episode 9 or 10 thing, where everyone's just like, all hope is lost, and White Walkers come running down into the Seven Kingdoms. That way they can spend most of season 8 in like a giant battle just stretched across 10 episodes. I'm also hoping that by the time Daenerys gets her shit together and gets her army to Westeros, the White Walkers will have already moved south of the wall. Most, if not all, hope will have already been lost. Next question, Trump W asks, the top, sharpest minds in the Game of Thrones universe. So you're asking about the smartest characters. There are definitely like a lot of smart characters, although some of them have already left King's Landing. Just taking from the people that we have on the show, people that have demonstrated great intelligence, I would say Varys is probably at the top of the list, if not near the top. Tywin Lannister also very close to the top, but he's dead now. Tyrion right up there with Varys. The difference between those two is that Varys has been working the long con, the Targaryen restoration, for a long time, and he has his network of little birds that Tyrion does not have. But just looking at sheer intellect, I'd say they're pretty close. Kevan Lannister, almost as smart as Tywin, not quite as shrewd. Qyburn, very learned, very smart, a little more sinister. Some of the other characters like Prince Doran are very learned, but we haven't seen a lot from them yet. Like until they reveal some of their grand plans in much bigger ways, we won't know exactly how smart they are. Usually characters demonstrate intelligence on the show in the way that they outwit other characters. Littlefinger is a big schemer and a plotter. I don't know how smart he's going to be on the show compared to the books. The books make it seem like he has a better handle on his grand plan, but that's just because his book character is a little more opaque. So really, like, all those characters I just mentioned are all really close. No one of them is dramatically smarter than the other. It's really more about the choices that they make. Tyrion is a really good example of a character who's really smart, but sometimes makes really bad choices. Probably a bad idea to keep Shae around you. Although he might have gone a little bit insane, a little bit more drunk if he hadn't had Shae around. But look how that ended. Next question, Bjorn asks, which families are the wealthiest and how the crown's finances evolved over time? Which industries are dominant in each area city? Well, that's a really big question, so I'll just say the show's explained it pretty well. The Lannisters are the wealthiest in terms of like sheer monetary value, and the Tyrells are the wealthiest in terms of assets, like they own the most land. Just in terms of the crown's finances, what happens is like, you know, the long history of Targaryen kings, some of them a little bit better with money than others. And so there's always going to be times of prosperity when the kingdom's economy is a lot healthier. Then there'll be periodic droughts that will just put a strain on the economy. Most things like that are mirrored on real world history. China, for instance, is like the world's fastest growing economy. China is actually a good way to think about Yi Ti. We haven't really gone there in the show yet. It's like the far, far east. Its wealth in a history of A Song of Ice and Fire is supposed to have dwarfed that of ancient Valyria. So as much as people talk about the Valyrians being really powerful, really wealthy, Yi Ti at its height, which, you know, predated the Valyrian Empire by quite a bit, supposedly make them look like peasants. Next question, Joachim asks, do you think that Melisandre tried to seduce Jon Snow because she knew he had king's blood, like with Gendry and Stannis? R plus L equal J, kinda confirmed. No, I don't think that she sensed anything about his parentage. I think that she just got like a really powerful vibe off of him, so she thought he might have king's blood. They haven't fully explained the mechanics of it, but she does kind of have like a divining rod in her head for king's blood. Almost like she's sensing auras from people. So she probably didn't know exactly what was going on with Jon Snow, she just knew something was going on. Next question, Handsomest Jack asks, will the events in the Telltale games ever be mentioned on the show, because they are in the same universe? No, it really just flows one way. Like, the people on the show do voices for people in the game, but I don't expect the writers on the show to ever acknowledge what's going on in the game. The show itself is meant to be very self-contained to George R. R. Martin's books. The spin-off material is really intended to stand on its own. So technically it's not canon, but because George R. R. Martin approves of it, you could consider it canon. The way I look at it though is that if there's any kind of crossover, like if any people from the game are mentioned on the show, any families for instance, it'll just be a coincidence. It's the same thing with the Walking Dead game, like I'm never expecting to see Clementine on the Walking Dead TV show. Next question, Joseph asks, based on the events that happened recently, do you think that Daenerys would ever succumb to the madness shown in her family? So yeah, would she turn into the next Mad King? No, I think the show wanted you to think that briefly. Like she's like, I'm not like my father. I'm not going to roast all these people alive. When she actually ended up kind of roasting a lot of people alive. That's mostly the writers winking at you. Like, hey, look at history kind of repeating itself a little bit. But in the most literal of terms, no, I don't think that Daenerys is ever going to go crazy mad. Right now, she's a couple years younger than the Mad King was when he ascended the throne. And even though the Mad King hadn't gone full-blown mad yet at that time, when he was her age, he was still way, way nuttier. But the fun part is that even though Daenerys probably isn't going to go mad, she'll still be very vicious. Like you'll still see shades of the Mad King inside of her. Like father, like daughter. Next question, Andrew Worthington asks, do you think they do a spin-off show on Old Valyria or a show of the Targaryen family? So you're saying, just focusing more on dragons and people related to dragons. That'd be amazing, but no, I'm not expecting that just because it will require copious amounts of CG and that gets really, really expensive. The best shot we have at a spin-off show right now would be Dunk and Egg, just because a lot of the costumes would look the same. They could get away with relatively the same amount of CG that they do on the show right now, so from a production standpoint, it'd cost about the same to produce. Although they'd have new actors, so it'd probably be a little bit cheaper. Don't get super bummed out though, George R. R. Martin is planning a book called Blood and Fire, which is going to be a complete history of the Targaryen family, going all the way back to ancient Valyria. But the way he talked about it made it sound like it wasn't going to be like a full-blown 7-book series. It was going to be like one really, really big book. And he did say that he's not going to start writing it till he's done writing A Song of Ice and Fire novels, which is, probably like 4 or 5 years away. Still though, that's pretty cool. Next question, Cade's Gap asks, they just released what Ned Stark's 13-year-old self will look like. He's too young for the Tower of Joy flashback. What do you think he'll flash back to due to the age gap? So yeah, a lot of people are speculating that a young actor on the show is going to be playing a young Ned Stark. There is a moment in the books, it looks like they're doing. This flashback everyone's talking about, it's literally right out of book 5. So I'm not going to say what it is because that'd be super spoilery because they're probably going to do it. Think about it in the vein of the Cersei flashback at the beginning of season 5. It's a very different kind of flashback, but it's right out of the books. So if you want to know about it, just read book 5. And if you have read the books, please use spoiler tags if you're going to talk about it. Next question, Princeton asks, do you think that Tywin Lannister hated Ned Stark because he gave the name Kingslayer to his son Jaime? Well, I mean, he definitely didn't like it, but I don't think anything was done out of spite. Ned Stark saw Jaime and he's like, you're an oath breaker. You swore an oath to protect your king. Jaime said that he didn't try to explain himself to Ned Stark, so things might have been a little bit better if he'd have done that, but who knows what Ned would have done. A lot of the characters actually threw that in Ned's face after he died. Like, look at what his honor got him. Ned was a character who was just like deeply programmed with the ideas of honor, loyalty, duty. So if he had been in the same position, he probably would have died defending the Mad King, even though it would have been the wrong thing to do in the grand scheme of things. But as for Tywin's feelings, I mean, he probably saw it more as like a minor inconvenience, just something that made him bristle a little bit, not something that gave him great rage. Next question, Annalena asks, have you seen the scripts for the first 2 season episodes circulating in the Horns? So you're asking about episode scripts leaking and what's going on with the horns from the books in the show, like the Horn of Winter that Sam supposedly found. Well, I think Sam is probably going to learn more about the horns and the White Walkers and all the lore behind that when he's at the Citadel. As for the episode scripts, no, I tend to not look for stuff like that. Even if it falls on my lap, I try not to pay it too much mind. There was an example last year where part of a script between Tyene Sand and Bronn leaked, and it turned out to be dialogue that ended up in the episode, like it was a legitimate leak. But people got so upset at the thought of spoilers that I kind of tried to ignore, like I didn't reference it in any of the videos I've done, so I'm just kind of maintaining that same stance. Next question, Furious asks, Charlie, do you think we'll see Daenerys go to Westeros next season, or maybe after season 6? Well, I mean, she has so much that she has left to do in the East right now. She's got to deal with the Dothraki. She's got to fix Slaver's Bay, so she's not going to be taking off anytime soon. I would say she's still going to be in the East for all of Season 6. Maybe towards the end of Season 7, we'll see her move to Westeros. I don't think that she's going to make landfall in Westeros before the White Walkers come south of the Wall. I would be super disappointed if the entire War for the Dawn took place north of the Wall. It just seems like the Wall has to come down, and that's something that it feels like they still have to build up to for quite a while. Like, I would probably poop my pants a little bit if Melisandre were to resurrect Jon Snow and that, like, the cross effect of the magics with the magic that's holding the wall up brought the wall down. Like, that would be crazy. Thank you everyone for submitting questions. These are always a ton of fun to do. What's probably going to happen like the next several weeks is we will learn some more stuff from the set, so I'll try to gear some of my bonus videos around that without doing spoilers. If there's anything specific you guys want to see, just let me know. Congratulations to this week's winner, ZumZumZen. You win a $20 Amazon gift card. Just be sure to message me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact info. And what's probably going to happen is actually I like the idea of doing a Horn of Winter video, so maybe my next bonus video on Sunday will be about the Horn of Winter. And don't forget, in a couple weeks on Sunday, Fear the Walking Dead is starting. So it's going to be like a big build up towards Walking Dead Season 6. So it'll be Game of Thrones and Walking Dead on Sundays again pretty soon in a couple weeks. Tonight there's a big press conference for Flash, Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow. So I'll be doing a video for like whatever crazy stuff they announced for that. It'll be a lot of fun. It's actually a pretty cool day for news. Just in case you guys haven't seen it, you can click here to learn all about the life history of the Mad King and how he wasn't always mad. And you can click here for all my other Game of Thrones bonus videos. If you haven't scanned the playlist yet, I have like all the bonus videos that I did during the season going all the way back last year. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.
So, get ready to blow out your collective sphincters, because my trailer is coming.